Hi, good morning, distinguished personalities, friends. So, about 60 kilometers from here lies a city called Meerut. Your hometown? Wow. So, your hometown, Meerut, near to Meerut, there's a small rural area and there's a small government school. The government school has got an English teacher and she is very good in her work. Now, she's apparently gone ahead and taken some students to task because they've not completed their assignment or homework. So the students decide, let's teach the teacher a lesson. So lo and behold, they go to AI, create her deep fake obscene video, and then quietly slip it in the parents' WhatsApp groups and also in the teacher's WhatsApp group. Parents get very angry, they protest, they say this teacher has got no business to be teaching our students, our wards. They go and protest to the school management relents, the teacher is suspended and even terminated. She goes into massive depression. She hasn't seen something like that. She first takes extensive medications and decides to finally end her life. She commits suicide. That's a kind of a case that comes to you. And you realize, what do you do in this kind of a case? Of course, criminal prosecution is going on. But then, where is the genesis of this? The genesis of this continues to do with misuse of technology. Somebody decided to misuse technology. But when he started misusing technology, he had no clue of how this technology misuse could land up ending a human's life. By the way, how many of you in this room do not use AI? Please raise your hands. Not a single, one hand. Wow. I must tell you, ma'am, you're much ahead than us. Why? Because AI looks to be opium. It's wonderful. But it's got such a phenomenally negative ramification that people are beginning to understand at their own peril. So, here is a social media influencer who comes to me, takes an appointment to my office and comes and sees me. I have heard about him. When you have about 25 lakh followers, I'm sure people know you. So he comes and he wants for a legal consultation and he says, I have a problem. And I said, okay, please go ahead. And he says that, sir, I just got to know this new AI platform. So I went ahead and introduced myself. Now, when you log in through AI, today, you have to log in using an email address. 95% of Indians use an email that has their own name when you log into an email address of AI. So he logged in with this email address, gave his own particular credentials. I'm so-and-so social media influencer. I have a problem. Can you help me? AI says, go ahead. He says, I have a problem. I am currently dating 7 women. The names are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He names the women. And he says, my problem is I cannot simultaneously handle all of them. Can you give me a girlfriend management plan? The program gives a girlfriend management plan. Well, he starts implementing it, he's happy, but the problem arises after a few days when people go to that particular platform and they inquire about him or any of the 7 girls that he has mentioned. The program gives a slight hint that there's a relationship that's going on between Mr. X and Miss Y. And he says, oops, I made a mistake. I want AI to forget what I've done. Can I get an injunction? How many of you believe we can get an injunction on AI in this matter? Nobody believes? From Delhi High Court, we should be able to get the injunction. But then the problem is, how will that injunction be enforceable? Because you do it against one. First and foremost, how do you actually ask AI to forget? Because you don't know where AI has put what. And AI has begun to start getting vicious. So this company is called Anthropic. How many of you use Claude? Okay, I see some hands, 1 or 2 hands. So this is a program that is getting very popular. So they launched a new version called Sonnet 4.5. And one of the AI researchers was actually going ahead and experimenting about it, researching. He gave the program 5 different tasks and asked the program, after you finish those 5 tasks, please shut down. The program did all the 5 tasks, but refused to shut down. And then the AI researcher became extremely angry and started abusing AI. AI said, hold on, don't be in a hurry. I know you're having an affair with this girl. Should you want to go ahead, I will actually give information about this affair to all your contacts on your system where I'm located. And it's not going to take you more than a minute to do that. So think again. So AI has begun to start going rogue. Now this is 2026 January. I take you to 1995. Well, 31 years back. 15th of August. How many of you were born in 1995? None of you, the students were born in 1995, right? That's prior to your birth. So 15th of August 1995, India commercially introduced the internet. And it was something mind-boggling. The speeds were remarkably slow. We had to have a dial-ups, and it would be 14.4K modem and stuff like that. It was humongously bad. But even in those days, it was like a miracle. So after a few months after this inauguration, I got to get onto the internet. And for 2 months, for a lawyer with 8 years standing, I am washed off my feet. Why? I've never seen a medium like this. And morning, night, evening, whatever time I'm able to get, I'm hooked onto this new paradigm. My father, who's a lawyer, complains. He says, guys, you're wasting your time. What's this nonsense? So after 2 months of madness, I realized, well, there has to be some kind of legal ramifications to this new paradigm called the internet. Let me start looking at it. So I started looking around. It hadn't really begun. Cyber law was just about beginning to get started in 1996. So I realized, wow, this is one area I'd like to work on. So started working. Now, there was nothing happening in India in that regard. So started looking outside. Went to international organizations. 1998, Internet Cooperation for Assigned Names and Numbers got to be formed. I got associated with that organization, started working with them, with the United Nations. Then by that time, the United Nations had come up with a model law on electronic commerce, which the General Assembly of the UN had passed on 30th of January 1997. Now that model law called upon countries across the world to please come up with their own dedicated laws to promote electronic commerce and electronic governance. So like other countries, India started work. But as you know, India is remarkable. 2 different ministries of the government started working on the same bill simultaneously. There was the Department of Electronics and there was Ministry of Commerce. When the government realized my 2 hands are talking the same thing, they merged it together. It ultimately came to be rested at the Department of Electronics. And then we came across with the Information Technology Bill 1999. I'm sure at that time also, majority of you may not have been born. A bill was introduced in Parliament on December 1999. And lo and behold, the Parliament said it's very complicated. Let's refer it to a Parliamentary Standing Committee. So they referred it to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. The committee examined it. I was extensively involved in the drafting of the IT Act with the deliberations of the committee. And the committee gave a report, guys, you come up with an IT law, but it does not talk about cybercrime. Can you please come up with a new chapter? So we hurriedly drafted a new chapter on cybercrime. It got to be introduced in Parliament. And mind you, here's a story. Imagine how the human ingenuity works. So the minister at that point of time for IT was the same as the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. Now he decided that he's going to put this particular bill for discussion before both houses of Parliament at just the time before the bill for doubling the salaries of parliamentarians was to be discussed. So everybody was bothered about going to doubling their salaries. Nobody was bothered about the IT Act. They passed the IT Act without discussion. So lo and behold, they passed this without discussion, and come 17th of October 2000, and this law came to be gazetted, got the assent of the President and got implemented. Nobody in the government Nobody in the parliament had any slightest of clue of what the parliament had done. I was very clear that this particular law is going to be a path-defining legislation. And I was correct as we moved across. Today, in 2026, when I talk to you, if there are three most significant legislations in the history of independent India, then the Information Technology Act 2000 is one of the three. The other two being the Constitution and the penal laws. Why? Anything to do with electronic format gets covered under the IT Act. So in India, if you land up using computers, computer systems, computer networks, computer resources, communication devices, as also data and information in the electronic form, you get governed by the IT Act. And there is no other legislation. Well, now come 11th of August 2023, and the government has now passed the Parliament has passed the Digital Personal Data Protection Act. But that's a very, very small subset. It's only dealing with protection of personal data. The IT Act is a huge umbrella. Everything to do with electronic format comes under this law. And this law has got more and more significant because it's more principle-based law. It's not really gone into bigger nitty-gritties, but gone into very complexities at a conceptual level. Consequently, it continues to be relevant and topical with the advent of whatever technologies. Well, for example, to give an example, when we enacted this law in 2000, the focus was more on creating a legal framework for promoting electronic commerce and governance. AI was nowhere in the horizon. But the way we defined the term computer under Section 2 of the IT Act was so vast so as to even include potentially artificial intelligence as a part of it. So it's been a fantastic legislation. We've had our own ups and downs. When I look at those old days, and I'm talking about 2002, that's about 24 years back, I find people used to be so bhola, so innocent. Why? Internet had not yet really proliferated at that level. So I came to represent the complainant in India's first cybercrime conviction in 2002. Whom was I representing? I was representing Sony. What is the problem? The problem was very simple. Sony in those days used to have a website. It was called Sony-Sambandh.com. It was a website that was primarily aimed at NRIs. You may be NRI anywhere in the world. You come to that particular website. You choose any Sony product. And Sony says, we will deliver this to your friends or family in India free of cost. And we will take pictures of your friends or family receiving the Sony products and send you back those pictures as proof of delivery. Fantastic concept. Was roaringly a big success at those times. Except one fine day, somebody called Barbara Camper comes onto the website and picks up a 21-inch color television and a cordless phone, all amounting to $630, and says, please send it to my close friend Arif Azim, who stays in sector so-and-so, 18 or 19, Noida. Now, when this order comes up for back office operations and processing, these guys have questions. American girl, Muslim boy, friends, doesn't make sense. They still call up this guy. The boy says, yes, Barbara Camper is my old friend. She's sending me some stuff. So lo and behold, they go and deliver this 21-inch color television and a cordless headphone to Arif Azim. And he proudly poses for the photograph, accepting both these products. They send the photographs back to Barbara Camper. The transaction is closed. 2 months later, Barbara Camper, when she actually receives in America the bill, she says, sorry, this is not my transaction. So in America, the jurisprudence is very clear. Once a customer says, not my transaction, the money is automatically coming back into your account. No questions asked. So $630 was sent back into the account of Barbara Camper. For Sony, $630 was not even peanuts. But Sony said, no, let's work. Let's find out who's behind it. So lo and behold, we filed a complaint with the Central Bureau of Investigation. We had the photographs of Arif Azim. And as investigations would turn out Arif Azim was a call center employee working in Noida. He was so bhola or so innocent that he, using or misusing the credit card number of Barbara Camper, went ahead and ordered for his own self this 21-inch color television and a cordless phone. And more importantly, he posed for his pictures. Lo and behold, identifying him was so easy. So the CBI was able to pick him up. He was prosecuted in a summary trial, and we got him convicted for cheating. Not any offense under the IT Act, but under Section 420 of the Indian Penal Code. But when it came for sentencing, the judge said, Mr. Duggal, first-time offender, young guy, no prior criminal history. Let's be soft. He was let off on probation. So India's first convicted cyber criminal goes scot-free on probation, 2003. Now, those days were still good days in the sense people were still innocent. Now, things have been a dramatic change. Today, it's a different ballgame altogether. Last week, I was visited in my office by a 72-year-old gentleman who has been the chairman of number of PSUs in the country. He's since retired, and he's living a retired life, and he gets a call to join a Telegram group. He joins the Telegram group, and they tell him of a new opportunity, where they say that we will actually be giving you 15% interest or return per week. Now he says, I'm getting 7.5 or 8% on my FDR. I'm getting 12% at my per annum in my 12 to 15% in my mutual funds. And here is 15% per week. Let me try. He tries 5,000. After 1 week, he gets a return on 5,000. He then tries 50,000. He gets a return on 50,000. He next gets emboldened, gives another 5 lakhs. He gets return on 5 lakhs. He gets further confident, invests 50 lakhs. He gets return on 50 lakhs. He's massively convinced that this is the best new thing in town. So he decides to liquidate all his FDRs, all his mutual funds of his entire life, amounting to about 9 crores, and puts them back into this account. And then he wants to get money out, and lo and behold, the money is gone. And he comes and asks me, he says, what should we do? Well, we do a cybercrime complaint, we're following it up. But the problem is, most of the money has already left the banking channel. Now, I asked him, what prompted you? You are a chairman of a PSU for a number of years. How could you have done it? He said, no, I thought this was the best thing that could have happened. Actually, he's not alone. I don't know whether you've seen it or not, but I've seen a sociological shift in our times from COVID-19 times. COVID-19 has been remarkably, shall I say, catalytic in introducing 2 elements in our life for the rest of our lives. One is fear, and the other one is panic. We get fearful very fast, we get panicky very fast. Cyber criminals have been able to go ahead and weaponize both fear and panic to be targeted against you. So, at the end of the day, I think whether you like it or not, the dictum that's now come in, that we have already entered the golden age of cybercrime. This golden age of cybercrime will continue for the next many decades. How many of you have seen this OTT serial called Jamtara? Wow, a number of you. So Jamtara OTT serial has a remarkable byline. It says, Sabka number aayega. I can't be more honest about this. Almost, it's universal truth. Sabka number aayega. I believe there are 2 kinds of people in the world. One, who know that they have become a victim of cyber crimes. And 2, who do not know that they have become victims of cyber crimes. So that is where the fundamental problem is. But what do you do with this senior vice president in this IT company in Bangalore? He's very well suave. He's sophisticated. He knows the nuances. He's got a 7-year-old girl. Every morning, he leaves the girl at his own house gate for the school taxi to come and take her to school. Once she goes out to school, he starts getting ready because he has to leave by 9. One day he leaves his daughter at about 7 in the morning, and then he's getting ready, and by 8 o'clock he gets a call on his phone. The call is from somebody who identifies himself that he has kidnapped the daughter of this gentleman. Now this and that they want ransom. How much? 15 lakh rupees in 15 minutes. He says, I don't believe you. Make me talk to my daughter. They make him talk to his daughter. The daughter is howling, crying, Father, come and pick me up, please, they will kill me. Convinced that his daughter is in danger, he starts negotiating with the kidnapper. I don't have the money, I'm a salaried guy. Come 13th minute and he realizes that he's unsuccessful. He knows in 2 minutes his daughter might be killed. He decides to pay. 15 lakhs get transferred on the 14th minute. Again a call is made. Again made her talk to the daughter. The daughter is now more relaxed, more safe, but says, Papa, come and please pick me. They will kill me anytime. A location is decided. And this husband, along with his wife, jump into the car and start racing to the location to get to the daughter. Now, when you're driving as a father, a lot of thoughts are coming into your mind. Why this? Why my child? How could this have happened? And then he says, well, this has happened to me. It can happen to anyone else. Let me call the school principal to warn others. So he calls a school principal to warn others. And lo and behold, when he tells this to the school principal, he says, sir, what are you talking? Your daughter has been with us since morning in school. That's the time the senior vice president realizes that he's become a victim of a new crime, a deep fake crime, an AI crime, where they were able to go ahead and take the voice samples of the girl, used to clone it in such a remarkable manner that even the father could not distinguish that he was not listening to his daughter, but listening to the cloned version of his daughter's voice. Now that's what's going to be happening. Look at this industrialist from North India. Imagine you are running an industry worth millions of dollars and you get a call on your phone. You're in the midst of a boardroom. And the caller says, we are calling from the Supreme Court of India. Please switch on your camera. The current hearing is going on before the Chief Justice of India. He switches on the phone. He sees a court proceedings going on. He sees the then CGI on the dais. There's some discussing some money laundering matter of Naresh Goyal and Jet Airways. And then the judge, the CGI remarks, well, we're going to implicate you as well. If you don't want to be implicated, please pay just some caution money deposit of 7 crore rupees. He's convinced that he's actually heard the Chief Justice of India say that. He knows there's some skeletons up his sleeve. He decides to pay. He pays 7 crore rupees in different accounts. And then, subsequently, he comes to know that he's become a victim of a deep fake. So these guys have been able to go ahead and come up with a clone of the then Chief Justice of India in such a remarkable, believable manner that this particular big John industrialist was foxed into believing that this is what's happening. So guys, technology is moving phenomenally, remarkably well. But that effectively also means one thing, that cyber is a very, very unsafe space to be working on. I think before we go anywhere else, two things I want to highlight very, very quickly to all of you in cyberspace. Two paradigms, characteristics that you must keep at the back of your mind whenever you're on the internet. And this will be a universal truth right till lifetime. Internet as a paradigm never sleeps. Number two, internet as a paradigm never forgets. Please remember these two things for a lifetime. Whatever you publish once on the internet, it's going to be there for a long, long period of time. Even if you have the right to be forgotten, it doesn't make any sense because you don't know which place, how many copies have been made where. And now, cyber is being used as the next theater of warfare. Operation Sindoor took place, and there were a lot of cyber operations from both sides of the fences. Today, you'd be amazed at the kind of attacks that come up on Indian networks on a day-to-day basis. They're just not talked about, but that does not mean they are not happening. They're happening left, right, and center. And in a scenario like this, as lawyers, you would increasingly be called upon to adjudicate, think, help, prosecute, or even determine the legal policy ramifications of cyberspace, whether it's cyber law, whether it's cyber crime, whether it's cyber security, or whether it's AI. The problem is technology is moving very, very quickly, but the fundamental stack continues to be the same. The stack is that of cyberspace. Everything is happening using cyberspace as the basis. So whatever you're going to do, please be careful. So what do you do in this case where this gentleman applies for a company post for a senior vice president? He gets interviewed, he gets selected. He gets an appointment letter asking him to join after 4 days. He goes for joining on the 4th day, and he's not allowed to join, on the pretext that the company has decided to scrap away the post. He comes disappointed. He tries to make some inquiries and find out what happened. And then he comes to know of the truth. After he was issued the appointment letter, somebody in the company happened to go to his social media profile. And lo and behold, they found that he is an activist for gay rights. And this company is an FMCG company. So this guy reported this to the top management: do you want a gay activist to be your senior vice president? And the company developed cold feet. And lo and behold, they decided not to offer this thing. So whatever you write, whatever you say, whatever you publish online will be there, will be used against you. And as I go forward, I'm reminding you of two concurrent revolutions that are taking place in India. And all of you, including us, are part of these new revolutions. The first revolution is the great Indian vomiting revolution. Indians are vomiting data about their personal, professional, social lives on the internet without thinking of the ramifications. And the second revolution is the great Indian recording revolution. Everybody seems to be recording everything. But after you record, you forget about that. And then you do not know who's got access to that recording. And if you think you can put your so-called intimate pictures on iCloud or whatever, think again. iCloud can be hacked. Big celebrities have found out their nude pictures have been compromised thanks to the hack. Nothing is safe. In fact, safety is an evaporating concept. If you want to save your monies into wallets, think again, because crypto wallets can be hacked, the entire cryptos can be stolen, and you can be left penniless in less than a minute. So in a scenario like this, clearly the legal policy ramifications have to evolve, but they are evolving slowly. But then that's not new, right? Technology is almost 50 steps ahead of law. And law normally takes a big kind of a slow jump as we move forward. But now the scenario has come, you are now going to this internship. Please remember, whatever field of law you will be choosing, cyber or the electronic will be an integral part of it. In fact, you are already a digital natives. You are born in the digital world. You take internet for granted. Does that mean that can I use any output that I see online as electronic evidence? And if so, how do I use it? That brings us some very contentious issues pertaining to electronic proof. And I think it's easier said than done. Life was far, far more simpler prior to 30th of June 2024, when you only had the Indian Evidence Act and you had Section 65B in terms of giving a certification. One person to give a certification and your document was admissible. But then we saw a sea change with the coming of the Bharatiya Saksh Adhiniyam 2023. Now, the law wants you to give 2 certificates. So let me give an example. This is a printout. Maybe I want to put this in a court proceedings, or I want to put any computer output in a court proceedings. I have to give 2 certificates. Number 1, a certificate by me as a user to show how I've actually generated the said particular computer output, and that it's not been tampered, altered, or manipulated in any manner whatsoever. I also need to give the hash values by particular calculations of different algorithm styles. That's part 1 of the certificate. Part 2 of the certificate, I have to get an IT expert. And I have to go ahead, the IT expert also has to give a similar kind of a Part B certificate. And he also has to mention the entire hash values. And the hash values of Part A must match with the hash values of Part B. Only when both of them are complete do they conjoin to become a mother certificate, which becomes admissible, or the basis for making electronic records admissible in in the proceedings. Very, very complicated. Life is getting more and more complex. So as you come into whatever areas of legal practice that you will be coming in, you will be asked to go ahead and prove electronic records. So you must be able to have mastery over electronic evidence admissibility procedures. Because come what may, whether you are in civil, you are criminal, you are in property, you are in-house, you are corporate, whatever area you work, you go in. Digital is the de facto fault, the de facto basis. And that being so, you must be aware of how the nuances have to be done in terms of proving electronic evidence. What happens, and you are now law students, you are right now in the experimentation stage. What happens you do something now online? Do you think it's going to impact your future as a career, as a lawyer? How many of you? Yes? How many of you say no? Nobody says no. You say no. It will not impact. Great. Let me tell you this story of this journalist in 2007. So here's a journalist who's working along with other journalists in a big Delhi newspaper. And then she decides to experiment. She decides to go in for a live-in relationship with another co-journalist. No problem. Then she makes a monumental decision. She says, let me document every day's experience in the live-in relationship onto the internet. She creates a blog, and every day's experience, she uploads that. The live-in relationship lasts for about 9 months, and then they decide to call it quits. They go in their own respective directions. 3 years later, she's now getting married. It's an arranged marriage. The marriage is happening day after tomorrow. Today, one mischievous journalist colleague decides to visit the groom and decides to just give him the links of the blog where she's blogged in about her experiences of the live-in relationship. The blog is, the groom is furious. The marriage is called off. The girl goes under depression and then takes 2 years to get rehabilitated. That's 2010. Maybe the sociological or the social values are different. Imagine if this kind of thing is happening. Could this come back and haunt you? I don't know. The social values have slightly changed. But somewhere down the line, it might be an element to make people judgmental about you. So you as lawyers, as law students, will have to be careful of what you write, where you write. It's good and fashionable to be hip, to be looking sexy and attractive, no problem. But please understand, whatever you do today will become the foundation of your legal profession tomorrow. Don't do anything which is going to come back and harass you, embarrass you, or put you in a tight spot. That's something very, very crucial that one comes up to. Also, how many of you land up taking backups of your phones? Okay, I'm very impressed. Almost about 80% of the people are taking this. We have this in my hand and we believe this is the most secure device, so I can do anything. When I put it here, little do I realize it's a listening device. It's listening to me all the time. So the next time I'm having a conversation with you and I say, look, I have to go to Bombay day after tomorrow, in less than 5 minutes, I start getting bombarded with Bombay ads for cheaper airfare to Bombay. How's that happening? Because everybody, everywhere is being listened to. So the thumb rule is, as a lawyer, if you're actually doing anything confidential, keep this out of the room or keep it at least 12 feet away. So that's away from the audible distance. Otherwise, this becomes a biggest de facto element for compromising you and compromising your security. Number 2, we don't have a cyber security law in the country. So shall we do anything, everything? No. There are some elements of cybersecurity that we got added under the law after the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Look, the Mumbai attacks took place. That's the first time we saw live telecast of these terrorist operations on television. And as the latest film Dhurandhar tells you, those live operations were also being viewed in Pakistan. And lo and behold, live directions were being given. So that's the first time India realizes technology can be used against its sovereignty. So consequently, it goes ahead and amends the IT Act in the year 2008, where for the first time we come up with a concept of cybersecurity, a very broad definition of cybersecurity under Section 2 of the IT Act. We do come up with some provision on cybersecurity, but we do not come up with a law on cybersecurity. Today, my problem is, when I'm talking to you this morning, we don't have a dedicated law on cybersecurity in the country. Does that mean you don't have remedies? No, you still have remedies. And now with the coming of the DPDP Act, you have some additional layered approaches. Imagine this new law, when they pass in Parliament, they are very, very clear. We don't want to pass a law that's going to have an offense in this. Invariably, almost every Indian legislation has a criminal element attached to it. So they say no offenses to be defined under the DPDP Act, no problem. What happens thereafter? They say, we are only going to provide you fines. And for the first time under the DPDP Act, you have a provision that should you be found to be violation of the laws of the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, you can be fined up to 250 crore rupees per one contravention. 250 crore rupees for one contravention. If you have 4 contraventions, just do your calculations. And the monies don't go to a private complainant. Anybody can complain against you, no problem. But the monies don't go to him. The monies go back to the government coffers in the form of payments to Consolidated Fund of India. So ultimately, government is the beneficiary of the fine. And should you say, sir, I don't have the money? No problem. The law says, no problem. I consider this as areas of land revenue, which means that the government has the power to go ahead and attach your assets, sell your assets of the company, and should they be found to be insufficient, even go ahead and attach the assets of the top management and sell the same. That's a unique kind of a legal leverage framework that's been given under the DPDP Act. So you guys, when you're coming up,
What about the international precedents? Is it similar in other jurisdictions, similar kind of a penalty or a prosecution?
No, other jurisdictions are different. Most of the other jurisdictions are governed by the gold standard, which is the GDPR. The General Data Protection Regulation is very clear. It talks about 4% of the total fine on the actual total global turnover. Nowhere did it actually come across where the fines have to go to the government. Nowhere in the world have we come across a phenomenon where the government has been given the power to attach assets. So, okay. And should you, although there is no offences defined under the DPDP Act, should you not pay the attached amount, your properties are going to be, sold. Should you create some impediment, you can be booked for criminally otherwise as well. And supposing it's 250 crores and your entire asset value of your company is, say, 70 crores, and there's a balance of 180 crores. Then the remaining 180 crores will actually have to be obtained by attaching the properties of the top management, the CXOs, the people in charge of running the day-to-day affairs of the company. And they will also then be attached and things up. So it's one of those remarkable legislation that's got the entire corporate India woken up. But we are still, waiting because we are cricket lovers. We all love cricket. And we all as Indians have a remarkable cricket dream that we will be able to hit 6 sixes in the last 6 balls of the T20 match. Little do you ever realize that that's not going to happen. You can't be a Ravi Shastri or a Viv Richards all the time. So having said that, preparation levels are very, very poor, but things have begun to start happening. For example, we are doing a lot of these DPDP gap analysis because company says, no, I don't want an audit report finding coming against me. Some bigger company says, no problem, please go and do a DPDP legal preparedness audit. And we do that. And we give them the audit report findings. But then that's better, no? So that you know where your gaps are, fill those gaps, and lo and behold, you can then be compliant with this law. So by the time you guys are going to be out of this particular, your legal studies, the DPDP Act would be fully implementable from 13th of November 2026 and also from 13th of May 2027. So all said and done, it's a remarkable space. But while all this is happening, a lot of quick developments are happening on the side, which I want you as lawyers to know. Number one, the boundaries are blurring. Earlier, cyber law was just one particular standalone discipline. Now, cyber law, cyber crime, cyber security are all getting merged together. So 2014, I decided that, I've been looking at various international conferences, I go and speak there, but I found that there was no conference on cyber law. So I created this conference called International Conference on Cyber Law, Cybercrime and Cybersecurity. That's 2014. Today in 2026, it's 12 versions old. From a half-day conference, it's come into full 3-day conference. And it's not a talk shop conference because we come up with an outcome document of the recommendations in different sessions. The last version took place in November 2025. We had 37 sessions and we had 300 speakers in those 3 days. And then these recommendations are recommendations to the international community, to United Nations, to governments and to stakeholders on different aspects of cyber law, cybercrime, cybersecurity. Number two, things are happening quite rapidly on bitcoins, crypto assets, cryptocurrencies. So if you're dealing with cryptocurrencies, handle with care because the legalities have not been sorted out yet, at least in a country like India. The government is very clear. You want to buy or sell any crypto assets, give 30% tax to government. But then what do you get in return of 30%? Nothing. Your assets do not continue to have any legal sanction or validity. So please be mindful of these developments as we go forward. Meanwhile, metaverse is quietly but efficiently maturing up as a paradigm. The other day, about three months back, I just got this case from a client. Now, how many of you are aware of the metaverse? Oh, so I see a number of people aware. So on the metaverse, you have to interact using your avatars. So our client had a female avatar on the metaverse. And then one fine day, on the metaverse, some male avatars came and digitally raped the female avatar. The clients were livid with anger. They wanted us to press charges of digital rape. We said, look, digital rape as a concept does not exist in the country. Rape is a physical activity. So you'll have to wait and watch, though we did go under the data breach laws and started proceedings. So things are quietly happening there. Things are quietly happening on another big frontier, which is going to get more and more center stage when you get as a part of your legal practice or legal career, which is quantum computing. Quantum is already arrived. The 50-qubit quantum computer is live, kicking in the US. The Indian government has announced a new national quantum mission. And we are now working on the new legalities and the legal frameworks for regulating quantum. But I think it's not just quantum alone. It's a combination of quantum plus AI, which is going to blow you apart. Because quantum, with this huge quantum powers of computing, when it's going to be powered by AI, you're going to come up with a winning combination. And therefore, you have huge number of fires to quell as we go forward. So when Elon Musk says that artificial intelligence is an existential threat to humanity, he's not off the mark. How many of you have heard of 3i Atlas? One. So would you kindly tell us, everybody, what's 3i Atlas? A bit loud. Yeah.
Sir, good morning. My name is Muntaka. So 3i Atlas is this thing that's traveling the space, and earlier it was assumed to be a meteorite shower or something, debris of meteorite or asteroid, but later it started to show some carbon imprints and some gases that were forming inside in that debris, which is not usually a trait of an asteroid or a meteorite. And then the insinuation started to happen that it has sentience on it. And it might be some space traveler traversing the space and coming towards Earth. And then this was also the first time when NASA activated their space defense mechanisms, which has never happened in the history. And many astrophysicists and theorists said that it will depend on the fact that when it crosses the sun, and if it gains momentum, it will mean that it is a spacecraft which has the ability to defy the gravity of the gravitational pull of the sun. And when it swinged apart from the sun, it started to gain momentum also, recently what I saw. And so, yeah, that's about 3i Atlas.
Thank you. So in a nutshell, for those of you who have heard about science fiction or Star Trek series, here is a new kind of a spacecraft that's traveling. NASA has confirmed it's having alien origin. Now, this spacecraft started sending certain sound signals to Earth. So, a number of these telescopic laboratories, including in Chile, were able to capture those sound signals. But we could not decipher them, what it was. So once humans said, we can't decipher, let's go to AI. So they gave those signals to AI to decipher. And good, bad, or worse, AI came up with an answer saying, these signals are saying we are coming in peace, we are not come here to harm. I don't know it's hallucination or not, but here is an intelligence that's going ahead and helping you decipher these signals that's coming from an alien civilization. So clearly the power of this artificial intelligence paradigm is going to be humongous. Now, once the power is there, this power is potentially going to be used against humanity very, very quickly. I've recently written a book called Regulating AI Vortex, the Duggal Doctrine, where I actually compared artificial intelligence to a vortex. I say it's like a phenomenon that sucks everything in and transforms everything out. And I've given a set of 10 evergreen legal principles that should be relevant, whether it's in the form of narrow AI, whether it's in the form of AGI, or whether it's superintelligence. What is superintelligence? Superintelligence is expected to come by 2027, or a bit later, where they are saying this will be the new intelligence that will supersede the cumulative intelligence of humanity as a race. So, we are quickly creating a devil. Let's be very clear. AI is not a Swapan Sundari. AI is not this fairy that we are creating. AI is a big demon kind of exercise that we are creating, and we need to have more control as we go forward. That's the reason we need to look more in the direction of making AI more accountable. We've recently started a registry. It's called the AI Incident Harms Registry, where we are telling to the people, if AI has ever caused you any harm, please report, because we'll analyze those harms and then come up with legal principles to deal with the same. Already we have launched up the Global Artificial Intelligence Accountability Law and Governance Institute, where we are looking at legal principles on how to make AI more accountable. Boss, the time for 2025 is gone. 2025 was, should we regulate AI or not? Now that's no longer on the table. 2026, the time on the table is, guys, how will we make AI more accountable? If AI causes harm to me, who's going to be accountable? And people are not yet clear. Look at the laws, whether it's the European Union AI Act, whether you look at China's laws on AI, whether you look at South Korea's law, Japan's basic AI law, or even El Salvador's new legislation, or even Hungary's legislation. You realize these are 5 different blind men trying to describe an elephant. And nobody is talking about the elephant in the room, which is how to make AI legally accountable, legally recognizable as an entity. And I think those will be fundamental issues as we'll go forward. You guys will be seeing more and more of that happening. And finally, before I close, I will encourage all of you to start rediscovering the art of writing, the happiness of writing. Why? Because you are already now in a new zone. I call it the zone of cognitive colonialism. You guys are already becoming cognitive slaves of big tech companies. Why? You're all relying upon AI without thinking about anything like that. And with the result, you are rusting your cognitive capabilities. It's time for you not to rust that as lawyers, because clients will be coming to you, opportunities will come to you, and you will have to constantly keep on going ahead and exploring your minds. So don't be the cut, copy, paste of AI. Don't be what the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal did in Bangalore, where they came up with a judgment which had 3 cases, 2 from the Supreme Court, 1 from Chennai High Court, and all of them were fabricated. Don't be part of those lawyers who get fined $1,000 for them giving fake citations in their matters as we go forward. Learn to start writing. I think that's going to help a lot. But then the shortcut temptation is go to ChatGPT, get everything generated. Why do you have to write? Look at Amazon. Amazon is telling me that in the last 4 years, the number of authors that are publishing on Amazon have quadrupled. And the number of authors are openly saying, I've written this book using ChatGPT. Now, where does that leave human consciousness? Where does that leave human creativity? So I believe writing is always going to help. I'll share with you a small experiment that I did. And it's a small experiment that started helping me after some period of time. So when I started cyber law in the mid-90s, there was nothing happening. There was no literature. There was no books. There was nothing to go forward to. Only internet was your best teacher. So I decided, let's start writing. There's no literature here. Let me start writing. So I inculcated a habit. and a habit that I've followed for the last 30 years, which is for 1 hour in the morning, I'm doing nothing but writing. So between 5 and 6 in the morning, invariably, I'm doing nothing but writing or giving dictation of what my thoughts are, what things are, whatever. So when you continuously write over a period of 30 years, 1 hour a day, it does land up giving some kind of input. So in 30 years, I published 202 books on different aspects of cyber law, cyber crime, cyber security. So, and I think these books have started becoming as reference points. I think nobody knows everything. We should not even think that we should know everything. And the beauty about this cyber discipline is it's still evolving. Now with AI coming in, with quantum coming in, things will have to be rewritten. So a big question to you is, will you be relevant or redundant by the time you join your practices? I don't know. Yes, you will continue to be relevant, but you may not be 100% relevant as what I think so. Why? Because paralegals are already now gone in history. All of the work of paralegal has been taken care of by AI. And last night, I was just testing on one of these AI models. So I asked him to write a new lawsuit on a new aspect. And lo and behold, in 5 minutes, they were able to give me a very comprehensive lawsuit, which when I reviewed last night, I said, wow, good work done. Almost no hallucination and all legal arguments put in place. So if that's coming in, please be now prepared for a new generation of clients. And I am begun to start seeing that. The other day, somebody walked in my office. You know, they had this very strange body language. And this is my problem. By the way, I've gone to ChatGPT, I've gone to AI. AI says this. I know everything. If you have something else, tell me, otherwise I go. Now, when a client comes to you with that kind of a body language, you'll say, hold on, please sit down. Well, did AI tell you about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And he's foxed. He says, nope, I didn't know about this. So I said, hold on, don't be in a flying off mode. Learn to understand that AI will only give you what it's been trained, not otherwise. The problem with AI is still trained on Western data sets. Big Indian data sets have not been trained upon. Its inability to go ahead and analyze things completely is there, but then the gap is moving very, very quickly. So I think it's time for you to understand it's a new paradigm that you're waking up in. Life will no longer be the same. You must now know how to ride the AI tiger. Actually, you are already riding the AI tiger without your knowing about it. And you do not have the ability to get off the AI tiger. So the only way that you'll have to do is to go ahead and calibrate your approaches as you go forward in this particular direction. It's a remarkable exercise, but I think I want to pause here. All I can tell you, I'm not saying get scared. I'm not saying go back to Himalayas, don't do anything. I'm just saying, guys, tighten your belts. The old practice rules will no longer be applicable. It's a new ground zero approach that's come in. It's a ground leveler. So it's more going to be not an intelligent lawyer, but it will be a guy who will be able to use AI intelligently. That will be much more better, well-equipped than other guys as we go forward. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful talking with you. Happy to take any questions if you have any.
Then we have 2 questions.
Good morning, sir. This is Preeti Chauhan. Sir, actually, it's kind of technical kind of question. So I don't know whether I should ask or not. It is related to TOR, the onion router. So I'm just asking that TOR is on the domain ledger, and it can be shut down by the government. I mean, it's a different kind of matter whether it should be shut down or not. So I just want to ask that whether it is an algorithm glitch or an encryption glitch that we can't hack that TOR, because I'm doing an investigation and I'm related to my dissertation, so that's why I want to ask.
Thank you. Excellent. I'm the first one to say I will not know the complete answer to this. Why? Because nobody may have the complete answers barring these agencies which created Tor. Normally it said Tor is very, very hard to hack. Normally you want to ask the Tor creators, help me get the identity of the Tor participants, and they say I'm unable to do that. Why? Because I myself don't know who's using Tor. Tor was a creation of the American agencies for the very simple reason they wanted to create an alternate internet per se. But this dark net has this humongous other problems. With now cybercrime as a service powered by artificial intelligence, predominantly being the big trend on the dark net, The bigger question for the governments, for the law enforcement agencies is how to hack the Tor network. Why? Because the Tor service providers are not giving you any information about the cyber criminals that are out there. But having said that, most of the people have realized it's hard to, knock your head on the wall. It's much more better to flow with the wind, which is to say, a lot of these state and non-state actors have started going to Tor networks for the purposes of using them for their own vested strategic, national, or other legal or not so legal interests. So, till today, we don't have any clarity whether it can be hacked or not. Well, technically, the dictum is very clear. There's no system in the world that's been built that's 100% hack-proof. Everything can be hacked. But it's a question of how much time it's going to take and whether it's worth the while to hack or not. But at the end of the day, most of the sovereign governments are saying, guys, I'm not waiting for a Tor to be hacked. I'm starting using the darknet actors for the purposes of assisting me in overthrowing regimes, in quelling public disorder, or in doing some other activities which, on the face of it, I as a sovereign government may or may not want to do. Similarly, for the non-sovereign powers or non-state actors, this is like a paradise. Why? Because on the Tor network, your trust value is predominant. You pay using cryptos, but then if you don't deliver, you get boycotted and you get completely eliminated by the community, which means that you will no longer have any business on the Tor if should you not perform after taking money. So it's a unique kind of a paradoxical paradigm that we are actually looking at, but we still don't have answers. Hopefully it should be cracked, but by that time they would already have developed a new version of that's happening. Already there's a new Internet 2.0 version that's coming up, which is a much more advanced version. So it'll be a constant race against time, but we'll have to wait and watch. Technicalities, I don't think there's information available in the public domain which will be able to tell you whether it's 100% able to be crackable, hackable, or whether the encryption can be broken. Recently, Chinese have broken RSA. So if they've broken RSA, I see every reason why they should not be able to break that. But when, where, how, that's the fundamental question. We'll have to wait and watch.
Then, sir, it will fall under grey hacking, right now?
It is obviously all part of grey hacking. It's going to be all part of grey hacking. There's no question of that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
One more question.
Morning, sir. Sir, you mentioned DPDP gap analysis and company wants it. So I would like if you enrich us on that topic. And my second question is that can you tell us, like I'm a law student, really have an interest in cybersecurity as well as its related fields. So what courses or anything as a law student I can do to enrich myself in this field? And what else can we search about?
Thank you. Two questions. First is the DPDP. The DPDP is a principle-based legislation. Because it's got humongous fines of 250 crores, it basically is an existential question for your existence as a company. So therefore, the first starting point is, there are two approaches. One is, forget about everything, let me start from afresh, from the scratch, and then build my new castle. That approach takes a much longer time. A better approach is the gap analysis approach, wherein we go to a company. The company says, please help me do a gap analysis. We first give them a list of questionnaire. They give answers to the questions. We look at their documents, their processes, their data flows, and then identify where are the gaps in terms of what the law is asking versus what they are doing. If those gaps are there, we help identify those gaps and tell them, guys, these are where your gaps are. Please fill those gaps so that you can be seen to be compliant. That's one. And a lot of times the companies say, well, the gap analysis is done. You found 10 gaps. Please help me fill those 10 gaps. We help them fill up those 10 gaps. And lo and behold, they're ready to go. This is the Indian Jugaad school approach. I do minimum stuff but do maximum compliance. That's the first part of your question. The second part, as a student, I think you guys will have to think out of the box. Please do as much internships. This is a fantastic initiative that's been taken up by the association, the General Council of the Association of India. Why? Because this kind of thing was never happening in the Indian context at all. You guys all from different universities coming together to be exposed to things which you would normally not be is a phenomenal starting point. But if you have specific interests, please go and do specific internships in the areas of your work. For example, you talk about cyber or IT. My law firm, Pawan Duggal Associates, gives internships on a first-come, first-served basis. You can do that. Please be part of initiatives, projects. Don't try to get Gyan. Today, Gyan is commercialized. Knowledge is commercialized. Don't try to write books because ChatGPT is writing books all the time. The important thing will be try to be part of new initiatives, new projects. Try to do things with your own hand so that you can learn more. Be part of these conferences. Like, last year we did the Global South Artificial Intelligence Law and Governance Dialogue. That's happening again this year in July. Then you have the International Conference on Cyber Law, Cybercrime, Cybersecurity. We have conference internships. You apply for a conference internship, come and work for 1 month. See how it actually takes to go ahead and organize such a world-class conference when you have got 300 speakers, 1,500 people coming in, 37 sessions. So I think when you learn with your own hands, that's your best way forward. Don't go for kitabi gyan. Don't go for library internships. No, they are not relevant at all. What's relevant is do work with your own hands, be involved in a project, whatever that project will be, depending on what area you want to do. And if possible, try to create something so that it can be a value addition to you. Why? Because beauty is when you are out after your law school, you are fortunately at the same level as a 40 or a 30-year practice old guy. Why? Because AI has put this unique level playing field together. So it's up to you how you're going to pip up the other guys in the practice, the 30 or the 40 or the 20 years old guy. Yes, they'll have more experience, but if you have more innovation, then to a large extent you'll be able to leapfrog. I always say, please go ahead and leapfrog. Why? Because it's important. Because वो टाइम ख़त्म हो गया. बॉस आज 2 साल फाइल पकड़ेंगे, मुंशी का काम सीखेंगे, वो काम कोई करना नहीं चाहता और मैं चाहता भी नहीं हूँ कि आप वो काम करें. लेकिन एटलीस्ट नए अगर आप आइडियाज़ लेकर आते हैं और जिस लॉ फॉर्म में जाते हैं, जिस किसी लॉ चैम्बर में जाते हैं, उन्हें देते हैं, तो दे आर गोइंग टू सी फार मोर वैल्यू एडिशन एज यू गो फॉरवर्ड. So it's a fascinating time. I think, guys, I'm jealous of you because you're coming at that point of time in history when you've got so many things that we didn't have. When I graduated out of law, well, most of the people would do law because उनको कहीं admission नहीं मिला करता था, तो चलो जी law में admission लिया करते थे. When we graduated out of law, we had only choice either to become a litigating lawyer or to be an in-house counsel. Today, you've got so much of choice to be spoiled for. So make your choices correctly, but don't be afraid to innovate. गलती होगी ना, होने दो, नो प्रॉब्लम. 1 साल 2 साल, नो प्रॉब्लम. नोबडी इज बॉदर्ड. व्हाट्स मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट इज कि आप लाइफ में अपने प्रोफेशन में अच्छा कैसे करते हैं, वो ज़रूरी है. आपने पहले 2 साल नहीं कुछ किया, आपने पहले 5 साल कुछ नहीं किया, टाइम खराब किया, नो प्रॉब्लम. फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट कभी भी आपका कोई टाइम खराब होगा ही नहीं. जो भी टाइम आप जहाँ पे भी लगाएंगे, आपके पास कुछ ना कुछ चीज़ें होंगी, आपका एक्सपीरियंस होगा जो आपको सदैव आने वाले समय में आपको बेनिफिट करके जाएगा. सो प्लीज़ relive, relish each moment of what you're doing. Thank you.
Sir, I would really want to ask you, can you repeat the conferences that you two mentioned, like global one?
Okay, so there's a Global South Artificial Intelligence Law and Governance Dialogue that's taking place in July 2026. So be part of that. Then you have this International Conference on Cyber Law, Cybercrime, Cybersecurity. It's a 3-day conference that happens in November. There are a lot of other conferences happening. What I'm trying to say, boss, किताबी ज्ञान मत करो. जो कुछ करना हाथ से करो. बॉस लाइफ में मज़ा आना चाहिए. बॉस मैंने किया, मैंने एक्सपीरियंस किया, सो दैट गिव्स यू ह्यूज काइंड ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस कि बॉस अच्छा लगा. एंड अब वो वकालत रही नहीं कि चलो जी सिर्फ कोर्ट जाना है, वापस आ जाना है. आज तो नए नए आयाम आ गए हैं, नए अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ आपको ढूंढने हैं. सवाल है आपने अपना रास्ता खुद बनाना है. डिपेंड आपके ऊपर करता है कि आप कौन सा रास्ता कैसे बनाते हैं. थैंक यू.